Hey everyone, welcome to the very first Polycast here on the channel. Today we are joined by CatPat, who is also a Polymega enthusiast. We're going to be doing these Polymega Polycasts twice a month, and we're going to be uploading them on Wednesday. And basically we're just going to talk about what we're looking forward to the Polymega, what we're playing on the Polymega, looking forward to play, whatever's going on in Polymega news that week. So, CatPat, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Before I do that, I can tell you've live streamed before. That's pretty good for your first take.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm notorious for the Polymega video. I made it in April. I did a breakdown of the history, a rough, brief history, I should say, the reasons why I personally am excited for it, the features and things of that nature. And thankfully, Polymega themselves were gracious enough to not only like the video, but retweet it. And it really boosted me. And that was really, really kind and nice of them. So eternally grateful for that. And I'm also eternally grateful to be accompanied by Saru here. I know that helps me out. And I'm glad to talk to someone that has some positivity about it. So, yeah.
Very cool. I actually found you on one of your Polymega videos. I remember it was stuff that you were playing or planning to play on the Polymega. And I stopped in because you were buying like import stuff. And you know, we talked briefly about this when we did your video about how much I
forgot to mention that. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And CatPat did do a video where we talked about a bunch of Polymega stuff. It was a big one, right? It was like 2.5 hours or something.
It was, you know, I thought it was, and then after trimming it down, it's like it was probably like an hour and 45 minutes. But still, quite a bit.
I didn't talk for like 3 hours though.
It felt like it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened with my sense of time, but. Yeah, so I did do an interview with Saru on my channel, so if you want to check that out, go for it. Much appreciated and obliged, all that good stuff.
We'll have it linked down in the description too, so that people can check it out and go to your channel. And people who are in the Saru crew, make sure to follow CatPat, please.
Thanks,
because he's going to be talking a lot about the Polymega going forward. Yep. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the subjects that you suggested we talk about first was what we're looking forward to play on the Polymega, or what we're playing. In my case, what I'm playing on the Polymega. So let's go ahead and just start with what you're looking forward to playing on the Polymega.
Yeah, sure. So I've already had a huge PlayStation collection to begin with. I grew up with the PlayStation. I grew up with N64 and the PlayStation, but just with all the JRPGs that were on the PlayStation, it was just a natural fit as I understood my taste growing up. But a lot of fighters as well. But I will say, because of the Polymega, it has helped me expand on different types of games, such as Sega Saturn games and the Neo Geo CD. And I've actually explained previously, not only in my original video, probably in some other ways too, I originally had no interest in the Neo Geo CD, which I know is probably like sacrilege to you, Saru, because I know how much you like that stuff. But here's the thing: that's no knock on Neo Geo itself. I love Neo Geo. That's why I made my Bar Top Arcade, which is something we mentioned in the last episode on my channel.
Yeah.
But basically, I mean, I love the Neo Geo. But when those Neo Geo CD load times are in effect, Last Blade taking 3 minutes just to load one match, that's unacceptable.
Killer.
So when you've got something that just removes, it's not, at first it decreased the load time by like an exponential amount, and then it just removed it entirely. So it's just like, okay, so so that's a fantastic thing. So I ended up buying, I think, 3 games. They're relatively inexpensive, except for the Last Blade. That was like $47-50. But Samurai Showdown 2, I think that cost me $15 with the spine card and everything. I got a good deal on that.
It's always super cheap.
Yeah, and 4, which 2 and 4, it might be sacrilege to say, are more of my favorites than even 5. That's just a personal.
2 is actually one of my favorites.
I think 2 is when the series really got good and it just started. Like, they say 2 and 5 are the most solidified, and I can agree with that. I think the only thing that I'm iffy about 5 is just like, it's fun, but I think pulling off the specials in 5 are easier, and I don't like that. So I don't know. I like doing the the quarter, not just a quarter circle and 2 buttons, but like a full half circle and then pressing a button. I don't know. It just feels, to me, it feels more earned when you're doing something crazy because you're doing a crazier action to do the set action. So, but anyway, I picked up Waku Waku 7 on the Sega Saturn as well. That's another obscure Neo Geo fighting game, but it's really fun. It's goofy. But in terms of, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm looking forward to playing those, but I think one of the first few I'm probably going to play, because I actually never played this one as a kid as much as I love the PlayStation, was Alundra. And do you know what Alundra is? Yeah, I would assume so. I just didn't know.
Version of Alundra?
What's that?
You got the English working designs version? Correct.
Yeah, and on a slight segue, by the way, I've been researching more about the Magic Knight Ray Earth working designs game on the Sega Saturn.
It's one of my favorites.
Holy cow! Do you actually have that physically?
Yeah, I bought it way back. I actually had 2 copies because when they were coming out, I was trying to get, because the discs have different art. Yeah. So I was trying to get all 3 girls, but I ended up just getting Hikaru and Umi, and then later on I got Pooh, but I ended up returning one of them for Radiant Silvergun. Then I hated that, and I returned it for Night. If I had known they were going to shoot up to like $300-$400, I would have kept all of them.
What, Magic Knight Ray Earth?
Yeah, Magic Knight Ray Earth.
I've got some news for you. It is triple that.
Are you kidding
looked
me?
On eBay. I'm seeing like mint condition copies for $1,000.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, last time I looked, they were like $300. Holy cow! That was like
maybe I'm like going crazy. I thought that's what I saw. It was like in good condition. I was seeing between like $600 to $1,000. So hold on to those because apparently you've got a diamond.
I only have the one now because I ended up returning them, so I only have the one copy. Of it. But you know, in retrospect, like no one ever knows, right? Like what these games are going to shoot up in price later on. In time. That's the thing about retro collecting. You just don't know.
Yeah. It seems like Working Designs is like one of those companies though that try really hard to like import something they find special. If you read like the little prompt in Alundra, it talks about like how they worked hard to like import it, or I think even it did that in Ray Earth as well. It has a little forward saying that. So maybe, you know,
Mail and a bunch of games that I think most of their games have some sort of blurb. Yeah, talking about the translation process.
Well, isn't that kind of nice though, where they kind of like personalize? It's like, hey, we know we're like, you know, offering a product to a niche audience, and we respect that you purchase this and like it enough to do it. So that's kind of cool on their end. You know,
there's a big love-hate relationship with a lot of people with Working Designs, though, because I guess like
you do
take a lot of freedoms with their translations.
Do they really?
But what a lot of people don't realize is that they were some of the first companies to start bringing games from Japan and localizing them. So I think they did more good than they did bad. But
sure, it's a mixed opinion. You want to talk about translation heroes? I'd say Xenosaga, or not Xenosaga, Jesus, Xenogears on the PlayStation. Have you played that one? I think we briefly talked about that. Did you ever complete that one? No worries if you can't. The concepts in that game, talking about like biblical crap, and I don't mean that in a mean way, and philosophical, theological, it's just like, that guy deserves a medal or $1 million for translating that stuff, because I cannot imagine how hard that was, especially, you know. So not only
super obscure.
Yeah, and not only are you like dealing with Japanese text, you're also like dealing with like theological stuff, which is already hard enough to decipher for most theologists. So it's just like, holy crap. But anyway, got a side tangent. I know, we're like, yeah, but with I'd say Alundra is going to be one on there for me because I've never really experienced it. It honestly seems like a darker version of Zelda, with in terms of gameplay, because it looks like it's still puzzle heavy and a dungeon crawler like Zelda is. So,
RPG,
and it looks nice too. I'd say another one too. I've had this one for a while and I got halfway through it, I think, but I really owe it to myself to complete it. Tomba, I think it's known as Tombi in Europe.
Yeah.
But Tomba just looks like it has so much charm. It's so fun and goofy. So
it's like the 3D rendered or pre-rendered Joe and Mac type of game.
yeah. It's got like that 2.5, kind of graphics where
Yeah,
like the
like
sprites themselves and then the 3D backgrounds and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the kind of like it's got all these quests and stuff, but it's like a 2D game. It's not like an open world 3D thing. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, it looks that looks fun as well. But
yeah.
I know that I'm also like if once I get this console though, I think I'll inevitably, because I don't do streams or anything like that, but I think I inevitably will for that occasion. I can't wait to like show people like games like Bushido Blade 2. Oh man, I played that quite a bit as a kid, and it was so funny just like doing cheap attacks to like people just to piss them off, like my friends that would come over or whatever. But it was always fun.
Ankle slash.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking of is with Khan, he has this double-edged like knife thing. It's like if you do that right in the beginning of the match, it like literally is the start, and that's the first thing you do. They just die instantly. So it's just like, yeah, I know that was cheap. I just had to do it. So, but
why not with you?
no. I just got to do that just to like be like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop. I just needed that reaction.
But the first Guilty Gear, where you would like start around.
Oh God, yeah.
Destroy them.
Yeah, the first Guilty Gear, the first one I played was X2 on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2, excuse me.
Yeah.
But when I went back to do the first one, I'm like, oh man, is this archaic? Holy crap!
Oh, it's still really good. Like I enjoy it.
Oh
it's
yeah,
funny that you can like instantly destroy people. Like
yep.
At the beginning of the match, and I used to do that. I had a friend who I would play against, and I would just do that at the beginning. As soon as the round started, I'd do the destroy thing, and he'd get so mad.
Just destroy the ego that he has. Just immediately.
I was a bit of a dick myself.
Yeah.
It's fun, but I think they made it so that you can't do it as easily.
Yeah, I think because they have a death move where like, yeah, you can do it, but it is in sacrifice to your special bar. So if you miss, that means you have no special bar, and that's your handicap for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So and it seems easier to avoid than other tricks as well. So it's a risk versus reward situation.
All right. So anything else you're looking forward to play on the Polymega?
Yeah. God. What I'm really looking forward to, I'm also interested. I'm glad that you're here because I had this question for you. I've got a lot of Super Famicom games and RPGs specifically as well, and I've played English patches of them previously. However, I'm glad that I can load up an SD card, a micro SD card, and put the translations for these Super Famicom games. In fact, you did a video on that. Right. So I'm glad that you did that as well. That seems great, but I swear, and I cannot find this video, but I know I've seen it. Someone recorded them adding not adding, but like showing police knots translated, I think through the Sega Saturn on the Polymega.
Yeah. And
I can't find that video anywhere because what I want to know, and I don't know if you've done this, is because the Super Nintendo patches are IPS patches.
It was X Delta.
And you did this.
I did not.
Okay.
For whatever reason, the X Delta patch that I got for Police Knots on the PS1 didn't work.
Okay.
But they claim that the X Delta patch that was made for the Saturn version does work. So for whatever reason, at the time, it didn't work for the PlayStation. Though I am seeing on the beta channel, they talk about patches and stuff.
Sure.
It looks like they got it working for
Great.
Police Knots on the PlayStation 1, which is the version I have.
Yeah.
So I'll have to try it when I get the beta 2. Because the beta unit that I have doesn't take updates. So I have to have the beta 2 unit in order to download updates. So I still won't be able to test it until I get the beta 2 unit. And then I can download the newest firmware that they put out. And apparently that would let me patch that PS1 version of Police Knots.
Okay. Yeah, because, the reason I was thinking about this is because...
Did you buy the Saturn one?
Oh yeah, I have the Saturn one.
See, that's
So I'll be fine.
too.
But the thing that I'm also wondering is because I mean, as much as I love retro games, when people come up with not just translation patches, but patches that like improve quirks of the game that were kind of annoying, like apparently in Secret of Mana, like your AI, and I do know this, but the AI characters will get stuck all the time. Apparently there's like an IPS patch to like help that, or it makes your character center screen, so when you go to the next screen you're not just like hit by another monster without you even seeing it. Things like that. So my concern was like a game like Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, sorry, I'm going to throw a hot take out here for a second. Everyone loves Final Fantasy Tactics, and I can understand why. The game is grind heavy as all hell, which is fine, to each their own, but there's apparently a lot of things that are kind of broken in the game. And there's a patch out there known as, oh my god, I know the name of it too. I can't remember what it's called, but it's apparently one of the best. What's that?
What does the patch do?
Apparently it's one of the best patches you can have for Final Fantasy Tactics. It fixes any broken techniques. It apparently streamlines like it just everything's really balanced out. They add some other quirks. I can't remember the full list of it, but I think it's called One Vision, the One Vision mod.
Okay.
That's what it is. And not only is it compatible for the PlayStation version, it's also compatible with the PSP remake. So yeah, if that is a way to, if that has an X Delta file, as you said, I would love to see something like that on the Polymega. And if not like as soon as it comes out, I could see something like that coming out in the future. I would at least expect something. I don't know. Maybe it's a bad expectation.
There is a patch already that does these fixes for Final Fantasy Tactics that's out there right now.
Oh, yes. It's called One Vision. It's out already.
So then,
people have been doing it for a while.
Oh, maybe that would be something to test when I get that beta 2 unit. And then we can talk about it here. I'm not a big fan of the game, but
sure,
I do want to see if it works.
Yeah. And
your input.
Yeah, because, you know, like, here's the thing. There's some games where, like, the concept itself always seems really intriguing to me. But then, like, in execution, I'm like, I want to love this game, but I'm having a hard time getting stuck to it. And that's how I feel about Final Fantasy Tactics. But no, with this One Vision mod, which I do have on my PlayStation Portable, and I've got such a backlog of games that I'm not touching it yet.
Yeah.
But my point is like, I'm willing to try something if like the things that I had gripes about are just fixed. So, you know, that's the other thing too, is that amount of customability that the Polymega can offer is also very nice. I know it's not the first thing that offers that, but it's still just. But
I mean, it's the first thing that offers it in console form,
in a consumer way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way that's just easy to do. You know,
I should say it's.
Drop the patch in whatever external media and patches it on the fly. It's so cool. And
I should say this before someone corrects me, but it's not exactly the first time, but I mean, it's good that it's one of the few beginnings of it, because I know Analog also allowed you, I believe that they allowed you to add patches to your to like if you had a copy of Seiken Densetsu 2 or 3, excuse me, which is known as Trials of Mana now. You could put a patch on an SD card and it'll play in English or something like that.
I didn't know that. I also knew that the Retron 5 lets you do that.
Yes, the Retron 5 does as well.
Certain ROMs. But the Polymega doesn't read all of the patches, because there's some games that had some issues, like I think Ranma 1/2 was one of them, the arcade.
Okay.
And apparently that's just how I guess the patches are written. Not all of them are compatible with the Polymega.
Sure.
But they're working to try to make as many of them.
Yeah.
As many compatible patches as possible.
Yeah. You know, I've created, like, I've taken ROMs and attached IPS patches to them myself, but sometimes you'll make a few mistakes. So, like, I did one for Secret of Mana, and then like the map started glitching out. So, like, I'm not surprised if they don't have that all up to a T right now. So,
right.
But some IPS patches work better than others. So
yeah, because they're all patched differently. So
yeah,
it's a matter of the Polymega knowing what they were trying to do with the patch.
Sure.
So
I'm not going to try to pretend to know all the schematics about it, but that's just
I don't
my
know
right.
Of all that is, but
and thank God for the retro community for offering things like that. So forever in those people's debts, especially for translations, for us to experience something that would have been nice in America, but just didn't have the chance to until these modern day solutions. So
yeah, the cool thing about the Polymega 2 is that it reads CD-ROM media without. I'm sorry, it reads CDRs without any issues.
Yeah.
As well, so like if you have pre-patched stuff too.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like what was it you were talking about earlier? How some people do patches to improve stuff. One of the Saturn was the Symphony of the Night. I don't know if you saw that one. There was like a Symphony of the Night Saturn patch that fixes all kinds.
Really?
Of stuff. Yeah, like the slowdown. Like
wow.
Stock Symphony of the Night has issues like when you switch to the map. There's like a good 2-3 second wait before the map actually shows up. It's really annoying.
I heard about the bad
resolution changes, so it's weird. But the patch fixes that, and it's quick because it utilizes the 4 meg RAM card.
Sure.
Well. Loading is different. They even changed a bunch of shaders, how a lot of the shaders work. It just runs so much better than the original one, and it's still a work in progress too. So.
I'm shocked. Like I already knew that was made for the Saturn, and I heard it was just garbage. So I didn't even know they made not a translation, but a fix for that. Speaking of translations, did they make a translation for that version?
No.
Okay, that's close. They're getting close.
Yeah.
There's one game that deserves a translation, and you might know what I'm talking about. You might even own it. Princess Crown needs a fucking translation.
Yeah, it does.
I
have the PC version. I don't have the Saturn one. I should.
Okay.
But definitely needs a translation.
I mean, I heard it's really difficult
in English.
I feel like I've seen and read that it's difficult, but I mean, translation patches have to be hard, obviously. But oh my god, I would love to see that. Because I would like to experience the game.
Something like Sakura Wars into English, right?
Yeah, that was a big deal too.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what all goes into it.
Correct.
But I would love to see that one in English as well. That would.
Yeah.
Do you have that one?
What's that?
Do you have that on the Saturn?
No. I could have bought it for $50 when I worked at a game store. I don't know if it's still expensive now, but I feel like I just didn't because I probably didn't need it at the time. But this is before Polymega stuff and my intrigue in it.
Really play it, right?
Well, you could play it, but you're just not going to be able to. Some really kind dude made a there's a way to play it, quote unquote, in English. Someone made a script of what each character says and the dialogue options, which is great. But I know I personally can't just be playing a game and then looking at my phone, playing a game, looking at it. It's too much of a headache for me to sit there and enjoy it.
It'll double. So, if it takes you 20 hours to complete, it'll take you a good 40, 50 hours.
Right, exactly. So I don't think I have that patience, unfortunately. But I'm still eternally grateful that someone translated it. So there's that. I feel like there was something else I was going to add to that other than all those patches and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of Japanese games where you don't even need that anyway, and I discussed in my Polymega video in general that, you don't have to buy a $200 copy of Einhander. You can buy the Japanese one for between $30 and $50. Yeah. So, things like that. People think that collecting is expensive, and it certainly fucking can be. I'm not going to deny that. But if you're getting the same experience, dependent on regardless of region, one region's going to have it cheaper than somewhere else. Yeah. So that's a great solution, especially for fighting games and shoot 'em ups.
Yep. There's also a lot of PAL games that are much cheaper than their North American counterparts as well.
Yeah. I saw that Breath of Fire 4 in the PAL version with the case and everything was $60. So I almost bought it, but then I remembered they have a difference in terms of frames per second. I think it's between 50 and 60
versus 60 hertz.
So I didn't even I could have researched that more about that game specifically. I mean, it's an RPG. It's not meant for reaction times, but if there's a definitive version, I'm probably going to want to play that version. So I kind of held back from that. What I ended up doing is getting the actual disc itself. And I'm not going to say where I bought the reproduction case, but I like having things on my shelf. So I got a reproduction case. The manual looks very, like, you can tell it's reproduction if you feel the material.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
about
Slightly
it.
different. They use like a different stock.
And for me, I think it's nice that someone out there offers that, because like I know, and there's purists that want the original thing. You may be one of them, and that's totally fine. But like for me, if it looks just like it and it's the actual game itself, I don't really have a problem with it. But I will say that what was I going to bring up about that? If for some reason I wanted to sell something like that, I believe the ethical thing to say is, yes, the game is real, the case is not.
Always let someone know, hey, this is reproduction manual or whatever.
Right. So, and I know there's a lot of reproduction, and I think this avoids them from getting banned, but they'll put reproduction on the case. But then for me, I'm just like, that just totally kills it for me. So it's like, I don't even want to, let me pretend. Okay. But yeah. Yeah. And speaking of all that reproduction stuff, I mean, I'm not advocating people downloading and doing those ROM things, but when Panzer Dragoon is like $700, I abstain judgment. I'll just go as far as that.
There's a few games that I've played in unsavory means just to test on the Polymega, because I wasn't ready to plunk down $700 for a game that I didn't really even want.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't have any issue with that. I mean, like, no one's really losing any money when it comes to that. There isn't any royalties to be paid for games that were manufactured 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So no one's making that money except the reseller in that case. So I don't have an issue. When it comes to like ethical stuff, if somebody is still making a game or whatever, you have a way to buy that game, buy the game, But if there's no money to be made with like 20, 30-year-old game, how about it? No one's going to be hurt by it.
Correct. Another thing I was going to say too, it's like I've modded my Dreamcast with a GDMU, which replaces the disk drive with a SD card reader. If you want to like mod, because there's people that do this where they mod consoles and then they resell it, because you're offering a service that maybe someone doesn't have the patience or the technical know-how to put together. GDMU is really easy, but like regardless, some people like, I don't even want to open it up. It's whatever. Maybe they add a custom case, make it HDMI. I've seen that with Dreamcast. If you want to do that and sell it, that's just fine. Yeah. But when you're loading, when you're loading the GDMU with games, that's where
that's where it's an issue. Yeah.
Correct. So you can present it as is, and then you leave them with the groundwork of backing up. You're not responsible what they're doing with ROMs, whether it's them backing it up or finding it. Right. Exactly.
Offer your service, and that's where it should end.
I'm not saying I'm selling. I don't have a service like that, but I'm just saying like but I see people sell shit like that all the time. You know what? I don't know if you've seen these, but these arcade all-in-one sticks that you hook up to your TV, it's Pandora, Pandora's box
things.
How the hell do they get away with this? It's like a company in China, and they just keep on like selling it like crazy. That's exactly why.
It's going to go after them. Sometimes it happens, but rarely. Does it ever happen? You know what I mean? It's like there's no jurisdiction over there, so it doesn't.
Sure.
They get away with that stuff easily, and that's where all of this stuff comes from. Really, is China?
But I'm sitting here rambling. The one thing I wanted to ask you is like, you've been playing stuff on the Polymega. Yeah. What have you been enjoying on it, and do you feel like there's a game specifically that's been elevated because of the Polymega?
Pretty much anything that's on the Neo Geo CD. Like,
that's an obvious one,
video, right? Where I'm like, oh my god, because I had originally experienced it, and we talked about this on your video. I had already experienced the Neo Geo CD and was already impressed with the fast loading time. So then when I actually got it and I did the test live, right, and we went through it, and like it eliminated the loading time. That was like the big thing for me. So Neo Geo CD, it really heightened my experience with Neo Geo CD, and I was already a fan of the Neo Geo CD. I've wanted one since 1994. I didn't get one until 1999 because I couldn't afford them. They were really expensive when they first came out. They were like $500 or more for the console, so I never got one. In 1999, I finally got one. Uh, and I love it. I love the fact that the Polymega can just speed through Neo Geo CD games.
Sorry, we have a special guest, and it's my cat. So if you hear any
Oh,
meowing, so
yeah, I do. I heard little soft meows.
there he is.
Oh, there's a cat.
Anyway, sorry, continue. I just wanted to tell everyone if you hear meowing,
Yeah, I heard a.
it's all me.
Super cute. But yeah, I've been. It's funny because I've always collected for Neo Geo CD for many, many years. I would buy seldomly, right? Like very little. Since I got the Polymega, I went on like this like buying spree of
Yeah.
Neo Geo CD stuff because now I'm like, now I have a reason because I'm actually now actively playing again. Is to
right.
Before I would fire up the Neo Geo CD like once a year.
Yeah.
And I'd play it for a little bit, and I'd get sick of the loading times, and I'd stop playing, or I'd play the old games with like the less loading time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. But now I fire it up on stream once a week. So
Yeah.
I have incentive now to actually actively buy a bunch of Neo CD games. I'm actually now just missing maybe 5 or 6 games for a complete Japanese set. I almost have a
holy shit.
set. I'm missing like a lot of the big big heavy hitters like the golf game. Which
Yeah,
is like,
Neo Turf Masters is like, was it $10,000? I saw someone list it for $10,000.
No, on CD?
Yes, I swear I saw that. It was either
probably new, huh? I'm guessing it was probably.
It was
like
probably new. So when anything's new on that, it's okay. I could be wrong. It could have been like 1,000, but I feel like it was an astronomically large, stupid number.
I know they go for about, if you get one complete with an Obi, it could be anywhere from like 800 to 1,000 on eBay right now, which is crazy for a used copy that's complete, you know. And if you don't mind not having the Obi, you can have one for like $700.
It doesn't help that Neo Turf Masters is a fucking excellent game too.
Yeah,
like,
it's really good.
Like, you know, it's funny too because it's like, look, do I look like I enjoy sports? Probably not. But
and you don't even have to be a fan of golf for that game. It's just fun.
It's fun. Like I have my girlfriend plays with me.
But
she thinks it's great.
That's actually the Neo Geo sports magic.
Yeah,
what I like to call it. A lot of the sports games on Neo Geo just have this like. There's just something about them that makes them easy and fun to play. I think it's because it's got like this really like fantasy sports aspect.
Yes, that's it. It's the fictional aspect of it.
Yeah, it's
when you get real life simulator stuff, it just seems so dry and boring.
Yeah. It's just, and I don't like any of that, you know. Because
so
it just, if I'm gonna get into stats and all this other BS, it's like, why don't I just go play golf?
Yeah,
or football, whatever.
You know,
I want like that arcade action.
Exactly.
Like League Bowling. I used to play shit tons of League Bowling.
Hell yeah.
Arcade. Loved League Bowling. And it's a lot of fun. You can still get that on the Neo Geo for like $50.
That was probably real. Oh, it's $50? Okay, I thought it'd be cheaper than that. But yeah.
Or cheaper. It might be cheaper.
I could be wrong, but what was the other one too? I was gonna say mention it's gone. Oh well. But what's that?
Windjammers?
Windjammers is great too. That's also like roughly 100 as well. It seems like so. Like Samurai Showdown is relatively cheap on the Neo Geo CD.
Yeah,
I'm also seeing
King of. They made tons of them.
King of Fighters isn't terrible either. The best ones, in my opinion, and I know someone's gonna say no, but look, they're all fun.
No.
But I think 98 and 99 are going to be the better ones on there, in my opinion.
98 is like the better one for millions of people. Well,
correct.
It's a favorite.
It's the most accessible.
Not so much.
No, 99 isn't perfect. That one's just like that one's my personal favorite ones out of the 2D era is 98, 2002, and 2003. Those are my personal favorite ones. I think 97 has a lot of heart to it as well. Yeah. But
mine was 96 because 96 was the turning point for me for the series.
That's when Iori was introduced, right?
95, but 95 still played kind of janky.
Oh, you're
like
right.
94. So 94, 95 kind of had like weird, like slow gameplay. It was the beginnings of that series, right? It was still awesome. Like 94 had an amazing impact when it came out.
Yeah.
But it didn't play really good. And then 96 came out, and 96 played much faster than 94, 95.
It was more mechanical.
Super jumps, dash, running, like it added a bunch of stuff that just didn't exist. So gameplay wise, it was like it added all this stuff that just made the game so much more playable than the previous two. And I think what I remember the most is the drastic change in gameplay. And that's why 96 is always my favorite. It's just because when it came out, I was there. You know, I was like 6
Sure.
when it came out. And I remember just the feeling of being able to play the change, watching the change happen in the series like then and there.
Yeah.
So
What are your favorite
for me?
What are your favorite characters to play in King of Fighters?
Yuri, Athena, and King are my favorite characters.
I know Athena and King. Oh, King's great. And then I'm trying to remember Yuri. Oh, she's the Super Appa chick or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Karate.
Yeah.
Karate.
It's funny. The inner emo boy liked Iori, so I thought he was cool, and mainly because
I like playing him too.
He's cool because I always had this affinity to like characters that can go psycho because because he has that rage side to him or whatever. But like, there's that, I don't remember the name of the trick. It's like the blood of something, but it's one of his specials. And then you got to do this like crazy hard thing where you got to like do a quarter circle 4 times and press 2 buttons, and that's an additional attack he has.
Yeah, it's like 2 half circles.
And that trick is really, really awesome when it's added to that already awesome trick, and then he like does this maniacal scream as he does it. So it's just like, what a fucking psychopath! What a beast! This is awesome.
Yeah,
so that
Iori and Leona are the 2 characters that go like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Leona is the character who's like Iori. Not as much though.
No, I like King as well. It really is, and I'm sure you feel this way too, but it really depends on which King of Fighters game you're playing as well, in terms of the way they play. Because there's sometimes where I'm like, Iori's kind of boring to play in this one, but in this one he's great or something like that. Do you ever get to play the King of Fighters 13? How they like redid all the sprites? Oh, beautiful game. Love that game.
I'm a big fan of the series, so I've played them all fairly extensively.
Sure.
Really like it.
But I'm sure I have other favorites. I just can't think of it right now. I have a guilty pleasure though. I do like SVZ versus Chaos, even though like it's not balanced at all. That one is really fun to me. I like playing as Violent Ken too.
I never really played SVC Chaos.
It's a cool one. It's janky as shit, but in terms of balance, but I think it's fun. The background art in like a couple areas that come to Neo Geo, one thing they get right with fighting games is the beautiful pixel art in the background. Holy shit, especially The Last Blade. Yep,
always lush animations. Frame rate is crazy with Neo Geo games. That was not really a thing with a lot of fighters back in the day. And pumping out games with large frame rates, so the animation always looked really good. You have like, Garo, Mark of the Wolves. Where
that's a great one.
So much fluid animation. It's beautiful. Meant to contend with Street Fighter 3 at the time.
Yeah, I wish that was a Neo Geo CD game. I really do. I think that one.
It's not possible, unfortunately, but that would be awesome.
And I also, one thing the Polymega also kind of taught me, because as I was prepping for the system, I was comparing different versions of games. Like, apparently there's a Japanese version of The Last Blade on the PlayStation. It's not going to play like the Neo Geo CD is. The sound is very compressed, sounds crunchy.
Almost,
and I'm just like,
Neo Geo at that compressed sound, and it's gross. So if you're going to play a version that's not on a Neo Geo console, Saturn is the next best thing.
Yeah, and even then, and this is such a nitpick, so it's probably not even a big deal, but Metal Slug on the Saturn, I noticed that the death scream is different than the arcade version.
Oh, is it?
I think so, if I recall. Apparently the Saturn is the best version to play of that, which I'm not surprised, but there's some, I don't know, who cares? It's really not a big deal. That one is going to be far cheaper than, speaking of, you picked up Neo Geo CD, the Metal Slug, the first one.
Yep.
Would I be rude to ask how much that costs? You don't have to say it.
Close to $240.
Yep. See, the problem is that they re-released the Metal Slug series so often that you can find it in so many cheaper means that I
the Saturn
can't do it.
Right?
What's that?
I think the Saturn's like $100 or less, maybe.
Yeah, it's less than that. Even then, that's still too much on my end for something that. Oh, I've got on my arcade stand right here. I've got it on my there's an anthology collection on the PlayStation 2, which is now available on the PS4. I mean, the ways to play that game is there's so many options that it's just like, unless in your case you're a diehard collector, not necessary as far as I'm concerned.
Though, I saw it at the last MGC that they had. They had both Metal Slug 1 and 2 for $100 each. And
Jesus.
And I was like, "Oh, I'll be back before they closed." And I came back and they had already packed up. And I was like, I could have bought both games for the price for less than what I paid.
Yes, yeah, that's upsetting.
And I ended up paying $150 for part 2, so I ended up paying double basically for both games, and I would have bet if I had just paid for it. Oh, do you have a different kind of cat?
Yeah, I've got 2 cats.
Oh,
there's a reason I'm CatPat. I live up to my reputation. Okay, it's like 50 more cats come on camera. Look, I like cats, but I'm not a cat guy, cat lady person. So just so everyone knows.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Sniffing around stuff.
Yeah, he's a curious dude.
I want a cat. I need to get one. I should have gotten one during this whole pandemic time. Had a little buddy. But they make it hard to risk jumping completely off of the subject.
Sure.
But they make it hard to adopt rescue animals. They ask you everything. It's
do they really?
Yeah, it's like adopting a child, or this is why people go to pet stores. Don't make it hard.
Sure. I actually got them at a humane society too. It sounds so weird, but they basically had a Kmart special. They were just like, buy one cat, get one free. It's like, okay. Because the funny thing is, I was going to intending for one cat, but then my girlfriend was with me and saw Ouija, the black one, and he was a kitten at the time. So she just gave me the puppy dog eyes, and it's just like, all right. So, okay. Not that I'm complaining. They both are totally different personalities, but they're good cats overall. So anyway, video games, right? Anyway,
so one of the other things that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about
a lot of shit.
I played so much on the Polymega that I can't even begin to go into all the different stuff. But Neo Geo is definitely what I really like. Being able to play Sega Saturn is cool. That's kind of just an added bonus for me to being able to play Sega Saturn on it. Didn't initially buy the Polymega to play Sega Saturn, but it's nice. It's nice to be able to play pretty much all the CD games. I'm really digging. Yeah, the Polymega.
I'm trying to remember what Saturn games I picked up, because I know I picked Police Knots, Waku Waku 7. Oh yeah, Street Fighter Alpha 2. Nice. For sure, because it's so funny that the third one is what's that?
It's another super cheap game on the Saturn.
Yeah. What's really if you get the Japanese version specifically, yes.
You're probably gonna pay $100.
Yeah, and So, I think Grandia as well. I know that's on the PlayStation, but apparently the Saturn is superior, and they have an English patch for it. So it was $15, so I picked it up. So why not?
Sounds like I'm gonna have to pick up Grandia.
Yeah.
Patch it.
Yep. There's a couple others I can't remember right now.
I picked up Tales of Fantasia for PS1.
Interesting.
Patch for it. So
I don't know the differences between that and the Super Nintendo one. Do you, or not really?
There's they redrew sprites, they redrew backgrounds.
Is it better looking, or
it's better
really?
Looking. There's a whole cutscene in the beginning.
Okay.
Music is no longer chiptune. They reorchestrated a lot of
interesting
soundtracks. So there's a lot of differences in it.
I'm sure some diehards will be a little bit upset with the musical change, but there's a lot of chiptune purists too. Sure. Yeah.
Everything in chiptunes. Right. Range soundtracks. I'm big on that.
Oh yeah. I'll say I think the best course of action, but it's really dependent if. How much space you have, but if you can choose between orchestrated and the original or something, that's always a good way of going with things. But yeah, I think that might cover the stuff. I'm sure there's plenty more we could bring up in terms of games that we're excited for. But for me, basically, I'm a big
coming up too. So
what's that?
We have more of these podcasts.
Of course,
coming up. We'll have more stuff to talk about. Let's say we talk about the positive feedback from other beta testers. Have you seen a lot of that? I've only watched a couple of the videos. I haven't seen. I know You mentioned Metal Jesus.
Yes.
I haven't seen that yet.
Sure.
Did you watched it, right?
I did. I watched it in its entirety.
Overall verdict.
Yeah, I mean,
future influencer.
yeah, that's what made me happy about it because so before I even jump on Metal Jesus is that what I first saw, because as we mentioned previously, and we're probably just not going to delve into too much, there's a lot of skepticism and definitely a lot of hate, which I find it's fine to be skeptical, but then it's kind of ungarnered to hold such skepticism and such hatred with very little evidence. But I'm again not going to go into that.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be those people in that camp,
sure,
right, who are just going to not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Like the Polycast does have its faults. I've ran into a number of its faults. It's not perfect, but nothing rarely is. But then you have the camp of people who are just going to hate on stuff just to hate on stuff.
Right.
And that's the issue that I have with a lot of people who dislike the Polymega is a lot of them. Some of them are valid. Some of them are valid points. Too expensive.
Not your cup of tea. Not your cup of tea.
That's fine, or you can do it cheaper on other things. Then that's probably not made for you. But then you have people who are just hating on it just to hate on it. So we talked a lot about that on your video, actually. So
yeah, we did.
And that subject
just to avoid future headaches and another hour recap video of why we're wrong. I'll just leave it at that. I'm just not going to go any further than that. But basically, take that, viewers. You can interpret that the way you want. You may not even know what I'm talking about. And to that, I say, good. Save yourself a headache. But anyway, basically, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. That's fine. I don't care. I forgot where I was even going on with that because, yeah. So basically, I mentioned that to contextualize when these beta 2 consoles started arriving in people's laps. Oh wow! I mean, I'm seeing a lot of beta testers. I saw the beta 1s and people are stoked, but the beta 2 people, I'm seeing more enthusiasm. Just and for a while, I think a lot of the haters kind of just and I hate saying the word haters, but a lot of the people that are just vehemently against it for petty reasons, I would say.
Yeah.
They were quiet for a while, and I got to tell you, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the silence for a bit, but because eventually they all come back. But yeah, there's a lot of been positive coverage. I know a guy from Nintendo Life covered it. And unfortunately, apparently that's controversial now. I'm not going to get into that, but good coverage on their end. Good coverage from I saw a lot of Twitter followers who are beta testers say nothing but good things about it. They were mentioning the M2 installation in the back of it with the M2 SSD cards, how easy it is. There is, just lots of good stuff. And what made me happy going into Metal Jesus of him covering that. When I watched the video, I was just like, he's usually pretty honest with his takes. So with that, I wouldn't have been surprised if he had anything to say negatively, but not in a mean-spirited way, of course. It was mainly positive. I mean, extremely. He said most of the time, he was very reasonable too. Even when he was like, look, guys, I've had some problems, but not enough to really cry about. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's yes. And as if these things aren't going to be patched up in the future, even when all these betas are done and the actual console comes out, yes, there might be a minor glitch in something. And what you do is you just report that and they know, they try to fix it, the end. I mean, it's really hard to cover thousands upon thousands of video games.
Literally.
I will say that, I'll segue that to that because there are criticisms about the Polymega that I might be somewhat, I actually agree on. But otherwise, yes, just very good, positive things so far, it seems like. Which I don't know if you feel this way, which I think you felt this way to begin with. But I think seeing this is making people more and more hopeful for this November release, as if it's not going to be pushed out again.
Yeah. And I can tell just by looking at the Discord that they're trying really hard. Like they're scrambling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That like they are actively trying. With the update, the Discord for the Polymega beta testers is really busy, and they're pushing out update after update after update. Just by what people are reporting.
Interesting.
People look into it to see if they can fix whatever is happening, and boom, they'll push out an update once they have significant fixes. And they're coming out really often, which is like, oh, I don't have my beta 2 unit. I can't download these updates to see what they're fixing, right? So I'm happy that I'm finally going to be able to get that when I do. I got an email recently saying that I would be getting it in the mail soon. I haven't been given a tracking number yet, but I'm hoping to get it soon.
Sure.
That's why I can test some of those updates, because they're coming out frequent. So they're trying. They're really trying, and they're scrambling to do what needs to be done before they have to release November.
I'm hearing more that because, like you said, the first beta didn't do updates, but this one does. And based on the boxing and unboxing videos of the system itself, it looks like that's going to be the final rendition of the box. And there's only one physical defect I've seen so far. There might be another. And it's not defect, but like design-wise. Apparently, the SD card slot is a little too high, so you can accidentally put it in the console instead of the SD card slot itself.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like
the...
So there's a little... Oh, you got your Polymega on you?
Yeah, I'm going to grab it.
Yeah. So on the back, the SD card...
Yeah.
There's a hole there, but apparently there's a gap that's a little bit on top or on the bottom that people have been accidentally putting the SD card into instead of the actual slot.
Oh,
I don't know if...
Into the console?
Yeah.
One of the things that they improved is they added a mesh here where the fan goes.
Okay.
People were actually accidentally shooting their SD cards into the back of the fan.
Oh, shit.
They added a mesh to keep that from happening. This SD card slot is pretty flush, though. There's no place to put it in.
Well, maybe that was for the beta 2 where that was like an accidental design flaw.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. That might have been an issue with the...
So basically, it just sounds like they have to add an extra millimeter of plastic. Whip-de-doo. You know, whatever. But, you know, it seems like... Yeah, it seems like everything's good so far from what I'm seeing. I don't know what you've been seeing or what you have to comment on that.
And those people actually will be able to trade out their units too. So like when the final units come out, if they don't want to keep that unit, they can trade it out. I'm probably just going to keep the second beta and just call it a day. If you can update it. If anything, I might just buy another one.
You know, I was wondering because, you know, I really wish I was part of the beta. That's my fault. I didn't apply. Honestly, I feel like the content I push and the things I'm talking about probably would have warranted it.
Yeah,
I was if you didn't have to send that beta back, I almost was tempted to ask if I could take a look at it. But I wouldn't make a video on it because it's old news. Because what's that?
I said I wish I didn't have to send it back.
Right. Obviously, that's like old news to. I wouldn't make video if I hypothetically had beta 1. I wouldn't be making live stream videos of it because that's old news and not a representation of Polymega at this point. But just the curiosity of it. Anyway, that's Fantasyland. Moving on. Point is that I think if you keep the beta 2, the only thing I would ask during that is what are the things they're going to change with the final rendition. Now, if it's just like, nope, it's going to run the same with the updates and everything, but we're just adding that extra plastic I was just talking about for the SD card reader. Yeah, I would keep the system too.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. I've already been told that they're not. Basically, the final unit is going to have like all of the updated firmwares that have been pushed out. While having the beta. But if you've been actively updating your beta 2 unit, by the time it comes out, it'll be the same as the retail version, other than maybe some minor aesthetic differences.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the SD thing you mentioned.
Yep.
The box is going to be the final box, and it's pretty much the final production unit. Other than
that box looks sharp, though. I will say.
Yeah, I thought the first one looked cool.
I don't remember. I think I remember being like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," but like the second one, I really liked in terms of.
Second one,
it's beefy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Get it whenever it is. I get it. I haven't gotten any confirmation because I'm sure they're busy, and they're probably not prioritizing the people who already got it because we already have them. So
Right.
I'm not going to be like, oh, send me my,
Yeah.
because I've already had, chance to play it. So
Part of me is just like thinking about like, oh, they didn't leave the tracking numbers, so someone's just like, ha, checkmate. Polymega is fucking Satan, and it's like, calm down, buddy. Just yes, we look. Yeah, everyone knows that the communication has been rough, but it's not as if this is a brand new fucking company or anything. So
yeah, but I mean, I kind of understand their reluctancy sometimes in saying stuff because sometimes you'll say something when something is quite not ready, and then everyone starts to like froth at the mouth over whatever. So
yeah,
I understand because that kind of happened when we were working with our game and people wanted updates, and we were ready to like talk about something, but people were just like pushing. So we'd say something, and then everyone would flip out, and I'd be like, it would have been better to just kept quiet until it was done. Kind of thing. So sometimes you just gotta use your best judgment with that kind of thing. So I can understand sometimes why they'll be silent about something, only because they're just going to add headache when it's better to, instead of adding that headache, to just complete whatever task at hand and then make that announcement. This is happening. So I get it at some points, but on the other side of the coin, they also have done some pretty weird things on social media.
Sure.
As well, called out like people or like made weird comparisons. So
yeah.
It goes both ways with that.
I originally thought that they started the beef with Analog. I think I learned that Analog actually did, because Analog said like,
oh really?
Yeah, I think that's how it went. Don't quote me, but as if it matters. It like, look,
not really.
Like, because here's why. Because like, okay, if Analog started it, yes, I sympathize with Polymega for the response, but there's no need to be as defensive as it was. So okay, that's still like a mark wrong, or it's okay, they got defensive and they started it. So it's like both are bad, just one's worse than the other, if that makes sense. Because what apparently Analog said, we're offering the Super NT or whatever they were offering at the time, no hybrid emulation, FPGA hybrid emulation bullshit. Because as you recall, Polymega was trying to go for hybrid emulation.
Yeah.
So obviously that's the shots fired thing. So,
right.
But I could be wrong. Who cares? That's in the past. I was actually making this comparison too on some of the people that can't get over some of that stuff. It's almost like I could use even my personal story on this. When I went to high school, freshman year, I was a fat little kid. I was fat until probably, and I know I sound mean to myself. I've always struggled with fluctuating weight, but it wasn't until my senior year I started losing weight and I started actually paying attention in school, getting better grades, stuff like that. And I think of, in terms of Polymega, it's like you have those awkward years, right? And maybe some stuff that were like really cringy. but then you improve, right?
Yeah.
And although some people are going to see those improvements and go, oh, okay, there's going to be other people that just won't forget that you were that awkward kid, and that's the only impression they have of you since then. Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Like, that's literally just feels like a similar situation. That's so yeah, I don't know. It was something I thought about like 2 days ago. I'm like, yeah. And I will. Sorry, go ahead.
Kid in school.
Yeah. Well, they're the new guys. They really are. So, that's why I kind of made that comparison, and it also shows that like, it's not like I wanted to be in the rabbit hole of the Polymega. It's like, oh, that looks cool, I'm going to buy it. And I wish it was as simple as that, but it's not, because I have to sit here and like defend not like a company. I feel like sometimes when people are just like unreasonably harsh towards it.
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't care if it's not your preference, but don't act like it's like you turn it on and it's blowing smoke within 5 minutes of gameplay.
Right.
Like that's not what's happening here.
Dude, we've stress tested the shit out of this unit, okay? Because we've already played it close to 400 hours now, if not about 400 hours.
And that's with beta 1.
And that's the beta 1.
Yeah.
So I have high hopes for it in terms of durability.
Yeah.
We actually left it on a couple nights, like 2 or 3 nights, all night long, because we sometimes will stream and just be too tired, and even I forget to turn everything off.
Right.
And I come back home and I hear like a fan whirring, right? And I'm like, where is that coming from? Very slight fan whirring coming. And I'm like looking around, and then I look at the Polymega, the lights on. I'm like, oh shit, I left it on again.
Yeah.
So it's many more hours, because sometimes like we'll stream and then I won't come back to this room until I have to stream again. So one time I left it on from Tuesday to Friday.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. It played fine. It didn't catch on fire.
Right.
It wasn't even hot, which is it was like warm on the top. So the system keeps cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't super hot, and it'd been on for like 72 hours because I had forgot to turn it off from GeoStream.
The accident end up being kind of a benefit in a way. So
yeah,
you know how that is reliable.
Test, you know.
Yeah. So maybe. Yeah, I think this might be where. I forgot my train of thought. I do that so often.
Why don't you tell us? You're actually making a Polymega video, right?
Yeah, I literally like
Polymega video.
I literally was inspired today, and I just spent the last 4 hours writing it. And I've got, sometimes, look, there's times where I just want to sit and just make a video like on the spot. And I know that might be okay. But when there's so many different angles to go by, like in terms of hunting retro consoles and modern solutions to retro consoles, it's like, if I do this, I'm going to miss some information. And I need to write this down. So I do
that. Actually, I do lots of videos on the cuff, and then I realize I miss a lot. So
yeah, and it's one that if you're a live streamer and you're doing the beta test stuff, I don't think that's terrible. But as I like to make sure that's going to be really the emphasis in my next video. Basically, let me explain what the video is. So. All the good coverage is great about the Polymega, and all that stuff, but there was a couple things I wanted to tackle. One being, is the Polymega for you? That's going to be the question, but it's also a quote unquote defense as well for the Polymega, at least in some regards. I don't want to come off as super defensive or anything. One thing I do want to emphasize, and something I am going to say in the video, is that because I like said console doesn't mean it's my it's my personality, like it's my belief system, and I can't see anything wrong with it. Right. And I've emphasized this to you, and I emphasized this before, and I'm going to emphasize it in my video because I think my video is going to have the biggest reach on that, and probably this even if since the higher subscriber count on yours. But if the Polymega came to me and it looked like trash, it played like trash, or it doesn't come to me at all, that because of like a 12 more date pushbacks, I would definitely make a video discussing my disappointment and say, like, look guys, this was a great idea, and unfortunately it never came to be, or it's trash, or I'm not going to lie to people about that. I gotta be right. I'm not going to sit there like fake liking. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, and the console's on fire as I'm like playing it. Like I'm not going to do that.
A lot of people think that that's what people who are enthusiastic about it, like me and you, are doing, is basically that we see no wrong in it, which is completely wrong, because I see its faults, and you're going to do the same,
Yeah, and so. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm done. Sorry.
Okay, my bad. I have a tendency of interrupting, so just tell me to shut the fuck up if I do that.
No, you're fine.
What basically I want to go through, like, okay, so what's an option for you? You've got like building a Raspberry Pi or taking an old PC and putting like Battlestar or Linux on it, whatever. Here are the steps to do that. Here's the pros and cons of that. And then also offer like, okay, yes, this is an option, but like also that means you like when you're selling a Raspberry Pi, and I'm not going to get into too much detail because then what's the purpose of going and watching my video? But if you're building a Raspberry Pi, or if you buy a Raspberry Pi specifically for RetroPie and putting all your backups on there, that's, yeah, if you can do that, that's great. But like, you realize by doing that, you're also someone selling that as an opportunity to you, that's reliant on the customer doing the work, putting it together.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to do that, then that's not going to be an option for you. You know, you can get the Polymega or the analog or something like that. So, you know, things like that. Another one is I'm going to bring up the Mister. I'm going to bring up the analog system itself. But here's the thing. I'm not going to try to make this as if it's like Polymega versus these things. What it is you ever heard of the straw man argument where someone basically like, oh, like this person straw man me, where like they have an opinion that's opposite of theirs, and they pretend to voice your opinion as weak as possible without like giving it justice, so it's easier for them to shit on, or like it looks better in comparison. I'm not going to straw man the Polymega's competitors. I'm going to say, look, this is what it does, and if this is what you want, great, go get it. You know, but if you know if things like that, you know, I think what really also inspired it is their
comparisons. And
what really, because I want to do this for two reasons. One's because I don't want people to assume that I think I'm just sucking the tit of Polymega, so to speak. And secondly, yes, oh, you have a bias. Yes, I picked that out of the other options. You're not wrong, but I don't think I'm better than you for picking it. Right. That is the difference. So, and that's not to say if someone buys analog or a Mister that they immediately think that about Polymega users, that I think that it's the best. So because you'll get in that weird dichotomy. I will say this. I did not expect me making a video about the Polymega. I have realized how, and it's not everyone, it certainly isn't, but gatekeeping and snooty people are about their retro games and how you play it. And I'm just like, look, dog, we all enjoy Chrono Trigger. I don't care what way you're playing it, except the iOS version. Don't fucking play the iOS version. It's terrible. But regardless, you know, like, we all love these games. You're literally like just comparing apples to oranges here, and you're thinking worse of me for enjoying literally the same experience. So close to an experience that it's practically indistinguishable.
It's basically just play the games that you want to play, how you want to play them. Just enjoy the games.
Right.
It's about just enjoy them the way you want to enjoy them, and don't shit on someone for how they want to enjoy their game.
Right.
You know, if they want to enjoy them, you know, out of a Raspberry Pi, good for you. Enjoy it that way. You
know, and I always hear about, like, you know, FPGA has, you know, better has less input lag than software emulation. Right. Yes. I'm not debating you. That's true. Like, you know, like, and the funny thing is like, it's just literally a difference of microseconds.
Yeah.
Microseconds.
Come into play too, like displays and, you know, controller types and all.
And here's, sorry, I interrupted again.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. So here's why when I emphasize like the microseconds, it's like some people can like detect that. That's fine. FPGA, go for it, man. Or original hardware, and then mod it for, if you've got that capability, do it, man.
Yep.
So if it's so superior, which yes, technically with input lag, yes, it's still emulation. People like to pretend FPGA is an emulation. Yes, it is on a hardware level. Not at a software level. So what I will say, it's not this magic thing. So that's one thing that's like a stigma I want to like immediately just like get out of the way. But then I will like to say, if it's so superior, which I know technically on paper it is in terms of input lag, RetroPie and all the Battlesera Linux and all these people making all these systems all in one would not be nearly as popular as it is today. They're playing it for a reason, because they're clearly having fun with it and not noticing a damn thing about input lag, or don't care because it's so
It's negligible.
right. So you know, I'm going to put this in my video, but I have a anecdotal story. I was playing Super Castlevania 4 on the original Super Nintendo on a CRT upstairs 2 years ago, and as you know, when you beat a level, you get a password. I wrote the password down, and I had to go do something I don't remember. So probably chores. So now I'm in my living room, finished up with the chores, and my lazy ass doesn't want to go walk upstairs. But I had option to play the game emulated in the living room. So I loaded it up. I put the password in. I beat the rest of the game with that. This is a time where I didn't know anything about FPGA or input lag or any of that stuff. I didn't feel anything. Nothing.
Let's play the game.
So it's if it would be like, look, input lag is terrible if noticeable.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than you pressing A and then 2 seconds later your character jumps. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, you can't play that way.
It's like playing Mega Man, anything like that.
Right. So, you know, again, you know, if you are hypersensitive or you're looking extremely hard to find that input lag, go with FPGA, man. I'm not going to think less of you. I don't blame you. God damn. You want to play it as much as the original as possible without having the original in an HD format. You do you.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think the emphasize that there's a few things I'm emphasizing in that video, but big thing is that I just don't understand why someone has to think they're better because of their taste. That is so weird.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah. I never either.
And I'll say this though. I'll say this. This isn't like a situation where here's this console that plays in HD, but like it's brittle as shit. The controller's terrible, bad UI, plays games bad, has an input lag, like that's like incredibly noticeable, like a 2-second one or something. Like this. Obviously, I'm making this example, right? And then like comparing that to like an analog console, and I'm sitting here just like, oh, you do you, man. It's like, no, I'll say pick the superior route, go with analog. This thing's, you could barely play the game the way it was developed as. So go with that. You know, like, but that's the thing. That's not what I'm like comparing this to. I don't, you know, if you can find something that is like just pretty much on the T, just do it.
Yeah. Like a lot of people check mini consoles too for the same reason.
Yeah.
I think those are great as well. You know,
they're cool.
They're not perfect, but you're also paying, you know, like $80 for them.
Yeah.
Compared to what you would pay for all of that stuff and the actual games. Just enjoy the games.
And a lot of those too, if you want, you can hack that too.
Yep.
Throw even more crap on there.
Yep.
You know what's funny is I've got the I've got the SNES Classic. I put more stuff on there because I like doing that stuff. And I've got the PlayStation Mini, which is complete garbage, mind you.
Yeah.
However, it's really funny to see that like underground devs did a better job with the user interface than the original developers. I'm sure the original developers could have done better. They just didn't give a shit. So it wasn't their top priority.
So
it's much
purpose of the PlayStation Mini was for me.
What was that?
The controllers. To use them.
Oh yeah.
I had to even touch the PlayStation Mini itself. The console
I waited.
Never been plugged in.
Yeah.
I've only gotten use out of it because of the controller. Because I got it for like $24 or something.
Yeah.
And I
got it for 30. Yeah.
Opened it for the controllers.
Yeah, I got it for 30 brand new. So yeah.
So $30 for two controllers, basically.
And I will say this, even though I added all those features to it and everything, I still think the board is very weak. There's still some, once in a while I'll see a stutter and it's like, I don't know if I'm being nitpicky or it's probably because I played it in better formats. So anyway, the only reason I had that is because it was cheap as shit. I made it better. And I've got this, I don't know if you know this is a guy named, not a guy, but it's a company called Rose Colored Gaming.
Yep.
He makes these beautiful stands for these mini consoles. And I have one for that and the Super Nintendo. So it's a great,
It's a great display piece now.
Yeah, it's a display piece more than anything, but it's an interactive one, I suppose. But what else was I going to add about that?
Your video.
I guess I don't I don't remember, but you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh well, maybe we went off a tangent. I didn't have a destination. But
so, I think at this point, we're nearing the end of this podcast.
Sure,
but it'll be the first of many. CatPat has already agreed to do more of these with me. Whether he wants to or not, I'm just kidding. But
right now, I definitely want to.
We'll be doing a bunch more. So every other week, expect a new Polycast here on the channel, and I'll be joined by CatPat. And make sure to check out CatPat's channel down below. He talks extensively about the Polymega. He's going to be making a new Polymega video. Make sure to catch all of his old Polymega videos as well. They are very informative, and the perspective from someone who is very enthusiastic about the Polymega is definitely there with his video. So definitely check him out. CatPat, any last words before we end?
Yeah,
podcast.
Thanks for that too. You know, in my original Polymega video, I feel like what I tried to do, and this is before I knew anything about like people that I should say, you know, I keep on bringing up haters, but like it's a small minority. But before I was aware of that, I should say it's a sizable minority, even though it doesn't make sense to say that. It makes sense to me. Oh well, but it's you know, I just like, oh, you know, here's some arguments against it, and then they're like, okay, but I wanted to able to present a counter argument for that.
Yeah.
But because it's a 30-minute video of like kind of trying to cover everything at that time, that was in April. It doesn't go into the nitty-gritty details, and that's what I'm trying to do with this next video. So that's the gritty stuff I'm going to get into. I like the Polymega for sure, and I have it pre-ordered, but that's not the only thing I cover as well. I'm trying to branch out in just gaming in general. I definitely have more of a taste in retro gaming in as a whole. But my last video I covered though was a recent one, or not last video, but an earlier one on Katana Zero. It may be new, but it has a retro look. I had I'm proud of that video. I'd say as much as I love my Polymega video, and I still think I favorite that one, I'd say the most editing work I put in was in the Katana Zero. So if you want to check that out, if you're interested in a modern day retro-like game, check that out. I'm pretty proud of that one as well.
Very cool. And where can people find you?
Okay. On YouTube, obviously CatPat. On Twitter and Instagram, it's CatPat is Pat Cat. I know it's a convoluted name, but CatPat was already taken. So I suppose it's not that clever of a YouTube name, but oh well.
All right. Well, that does it for this first Polycast. We're going to be doing a lot more, but thank you everybody for watching this far, and make sure to check out CatPat down in the description below, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.